Hello and welcome to this live stream. In this live stream, I'll be writing a small test script that will help me to test the solutions to the algorithm problems that I write as part of this series of streams. And the intention behind writing that script is to avoid having to run these tests manually, by manually providing the test case inputs and then visually checking the output. Let me go ahead and start writing the script. What I will do first is write a tiny makefile which will compile the code with the options I need. For example, I mentioned in the previous stream that I will be conforming to the C++ standard as much as possible. So I'll be enabling the compiler options to make sure that my code is conforming to the C++ standard. And then I'll be invoking a test script to run some of the interesting test cases on my programs. So this is going to be the makefile, given a .cc file as the target. I'm first going to compile the source code with the options I like. These options enable all the warnings. So that first line of the target invocation would compile the program. Then I will invoke a script called test.sh, and I'm yet to write that script. I haven't written it. And that test script would know how to pick up the appropriate test case for the problem that I'm working on and run the test cases. So it needs some way to know which is the problem I'm working on. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pass the file name that this makefile is going to receive to the test script as an argument. Yeah, I think that is good enough for now. Let me create a test script file as well. So for now, it will just print the argument that it has received. That's all. Let me see if this much is working fine. So in the last stream, I wrote the solution to weird algorithm. Let me specify that as the target, which will go and hit this and then execute these two lines here. Okay, so make is telling that weird algorithm.cc is up to date. So I know what is going on here. So this target is typically supposed to be a file that we build using makefile. It's not supposed to be it's not supposed to be a source code file. It's supposed to be an output artifact. So here makefile is saying that weird algorithm.cc is already present, so there's nothing to build. So it's just reporting that it is already up to date. Nothing more to do. Well, force this target to build even if the source code file is already present. And this is the hack I use. I know many makefile writers like to use phony targets. I don't like to use them. I just use this hack because this is POSIX compliant. The phony target is a GNU makefile feature. It is not specified in POSIX. I'll go with this. Let me save this makefile and run this makefile again. Alright, so it's working now. And if you see, it invoked the test script as well with weirdalgorithm.cc as the input, and the test script is just saying that I've received weirdalgorithm.cc as the first argument. So the makefile is set up. Let me start writing the test script now. So I have two things. One would be the test script, that would be the test controller kind of thing. It's a very tiny rudimentary script. And there would be another file with the actual test cases. So I'll call the first one as the test case runner. I'll call the second one as the test case script. Okay. So let me go to the test case runner and I will start writing this. Set -e so that the moment there is an error, the test runner quits. Okay, let me go ahead and write a little bit of the test case as well. So because writing the test case will show us what the test case runner should do. I will name this weirdalgorithm.sh. The test case script would be named after the problem name or the C++ source name, source file name. What was the first test case? Let me copy that. So this was the first test case. No, I'll just pick the first test case from the problem description itself. So let me go back to the task. This was an example input given. So this is how my test case script would look like. I'll call a function called check and I have to define this function. I'll define this in the test case runner. And I'll give the check function two arguments, the input and the expected output. That's it. It's going to be a really simple way to invoke the test cases. Now let me go ahead and write the test case runners. So we know what we expect from the test case runner. The test case runner should define a function called check, and it should define the function check so that these test case scripts can use this function. And the second thing that test case runner has to do is to run this test case script. So let me start writing the test case runner. It should define a function check. Let me do that first. I'll print the first line of input and the first line of expected output. No, I think just printing the first line of input is enough. I want to print the first line of input so that if a test case fails, I know which input failed. There will be some visual indicator in the output of this test case runner which will tell me that the test case corresponding to this input failed. And why the first line only? Because sometimes the input can be multiple lines long and that could make the output look too big and noisy. For that reason, I'll just print the first line of input. That should be, I'm hoping, enough to locate the test case that is failing. Okay, so that would print the first line of input. Where am I getting the input from? $1, the first argument to check. The check receives two arguments, the input and the expected output. I have to invoke a diff command. You might have guessed it already, to compare the output that I get from the actual program and the expected output. So prepare the files for the diff program to work on. Okay, actually it will be $2 because $2 contains the expected output. there's no $3. The actual output comes from running the program, right? So I'll do that. Okay, I need the input as well in some file. Let me do that. That takes the input from the first argument, puts it in the file input.txt. Now I'll take a.out, which has been built by the makefile, feed input.txt to its standard input, take its standard output and write it to output.txt. Then I'll do a diff and check if there's any diff. If diff exits with a success code, that means there are no differences. Then I'll just go ahead and print pass to indicate that the test case is passed. There were no differences. But if diff exits with an error code, then I'm going to go and print fail to indicate that there has been a test case failure. I'll also go and print the diff that I've captured in this diff variable so that there is some visual indicator of what the failure is. So that's the check function defined. Now what should test.sh do when it is invoked? I'll just go back to makefile to see how test.sh is invoked. It's invoked with the first argument set to the name of the C++ file name. I can use that file name to look up the test case file name and run it. Let me do that in a new function called main. So here I have to do something tricky. I have to remove .cc from the file name. This function will receive a file name with .cc as part of it. I need to remove that and append .sh. Let me do a quick experiment in the shell to see if I know how to do that. Let us say there is a variable a with foo.cc in it. What I want is to change this to foo.sh because that would be my test case script. So this is the syntax to remove everything after .star. This is called the suffix removal feature. This is a feature specified in the POSIX shell. Did it really work? Did I make a mistake there? Alright, the syntax is incorrect. That's not the way to write it. This is the way to write it. The variable name goes within the brace, within the pair of braces. Okay, so now it looks correct. So given foo.cc, this is able to extract foo out of it. Now I need to just go ahead and append .sh to get the test case script file name. I'm going to go and code the same thing here. So the file name is in $1. Remove .cc from it, append .sh to it, and then invoke that script. And that script, the test case script, has the check function which we just defined as a call to the check function that we just defined here. So it will call this check function to do the tests. In the end, I'll just go ahead and print done to indicate that all the test cases have been run. Finally, let me call main with the argument, and the argument is the C++ host file name. Yes, I think the test case script is ready. In fact, the test case runner and the test case script both are ready. The make file is also ready. Let me run and check if it works fine. Make weird algorithm.cc. It did run fine. So you can see it is printing this input that is coming from here. It's printing the first line of the input. There's only one line in our input, which is 3. It did all these things, write the expected output, run my program, get its output, then compare them with diff, and it looks like they match, so here's the result path. Let me add a few more test examples. So this is my test case script. I want to add a few more test cases to this. So I had a couple of test case failures in the first attempt due to the integer size I had chosen being incorrect. Let me pick those test case examples. So here the input is 138367. Let me copy the output for this. Let me pick a few more. Pick this one too, 159487. Here's the expected output. Let me pick just one more. I'll run the make target again. Yes, it's all working fine. So that's the end of this live stream. This is all I wanted to do in this live stream, create a script that can run the test cases in an automated manner so that I don't have to enter this test case inputs manually every time I change my program. It's done, it looks good, it works fine. I'll be using this test setup for the next stream when I solve more problems from the CSCS problem set. I'll go ahead and end the stream now. Thank you for watching and have a nice day.